All right, our next component is the roof. Now the roof is important, and too many times I'll get a seller saying the roof is approximately 6 to 7 years old. And I go out and evaluate the roof, and my guesstimate is that it's closer to 12 to 15. And when they actually look up the receipt, they find that's correct. It's between 12 and 15 years old. So the best thing you can do is provide a receipt with the disclosure. You can also put stated date, but a receipt supports your stated date much better. So you're going to provide information as to the age of it. Now, if you don't know the age of it, then unknown is fine. We're simply identifying what you do know, and any changes that you've made, you want to make that clear. With the roof, there's also flashing areas where there's roof penetrations, and the most critical areas are where a roof starts, stops, and changes direction, as well as penetrations. Those are areas have flashings. Now the flashings are a key area during the home inspection process. Number one, we can't see all of the flashing because they're tucked underneath your roof surface, whether it's a metal roof, roof shingles, clay tiles, and so on. So you want to make sure that those have been checked, or if you have made changes to them, that you've identified that, what the changes are. I encourage you not to seal them with roofing cement, because oftentimes that covers things up to a point where it's not helpful. However, if it's already done, identify it and provide receipt of the work that was done. So that should cover your roof. If you have chimneys, make sure your chimneys are cleaned. Get a receipt of the cleaning, put that with the disclosure, and identify the date, the company who cleaned it, and identify the chimney's condition at that time. That's only a few dollars to have that done, typically somewhere between $100 and $300. And that money will be well spent because it gives a vote of confidence as to an area that both the inspector and the buyer cannot gain access to. Next thing is any water damage area, such as rot, areas where water has gotten into the house. Another area that comes up all the time when we find stains to a ceiling. Now, we know that there are plumbing fixtures above it, but if it is not put on the disclosure form because you already fixed what caused the leak, but you didn't tell about it, that creates an issue in the buyer's mind. What else isn't the seller telling me? So be proactive. Make sure you take the time to complete the form fully and give all the information needed to tell the history, not just today, but the history for as long as you've owned the house. What components and items that you've changed, what repairs you've made, and if there are staining or there is areas where trim is missing, why? If windows aren't working or you've changed a window, why? If it's for energy efficiency, fine. If it was because of a leak, that's okay too. Just provide that information to the client. Now, some disclosure forms will identify that you should be identifying environmental concerns, such as asbestos, lead paint, and radon. Most homeowners don't test for these. Now, if you did it when you purchased the home, you're welcome to put that information in with the disclosure form. If you have not tested for it, put unknown. And be prepared to know that the clients are probably going to want it tested for. And that's okay. When it comes up, it certainly can be handled at that time. However, as a homeowner, the more proactive you are, the better off you are in going into the transaction. The whole point to this is not only to give the buyers information, but to help the transaction go smoothly and quickly. The less hiccups, the better. And what I want to do now is read for you some information that's put in most disclosure forms. And this is important for you to hear and to understand. First one is to sellers. Part of this disclosure form says, to the extent of the seller's knowledge, of the property, the seller acknowledges that the information contained herein is accurate and true to the best of your knowledge. What this means is that you don't want to tell a half-truth. You don't want to indicate something without giving full disclosure of it, because that's where there's liability, and inevitably this is where I see things break down. Your realtor and the client can only be as fair and good with you as you can be upfront with them. The home inspector can only be as clear as the information he has. So the more information you provide, the better off you're going to be. And then the last one is for the realtor. 2 realtor brokers and real estate agents. This report in no way relieves a real estate broker or agent from his or her obligation under the provisions of the agency. Now, whether that's the real estate agency or the state, it means their obligation is to disclose. And so both buyers and sellers need to understand that. And the realtors will do their best job on your behalf to provide the information in a manner that's fair to everybody. But you need to provide them the information. And the next piece is to make sure that your house is properly prepared for the inspector to come through, that they have access to as many of the components as needed. Now, as you provide this and then do the staging portion for the realtors, this will provide a home that's truly prepared for the clients to go through and picture themselves in it. It also gives the history as needed for both the realtor and the buyers to take the action needed. So I know this information was helpful for you, and I know that as you take these steps, it will certainly help the transaction move along smoother. Any questions that you may have, call us at Sherwood Inspection Services, and we'd be glad to assist you. Or email us at sherwoodinspection.com.